All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the virtual poetry den. I am the founder and the host of the Poetry Den, and we want to welcome everyone that's on the Zoom. If you got any friends out there that you know will be interesting, text them, tell them we're on and we're live, and we're doing the thing. It's spring, finally. And I'm super excited about it. I love spring. I'm still wearing these things, but it's okay. We'll get there. A lot of us are getting our COVID vaccine for those that desire to. But we're not fully back all together yet, which is why we're still doing this event virtually. So how this works is that we have an open mic where we allow any and all of you out there in video land to participate and share with us your words of inspiration, creativity. And then once we do that, we have a fabulous featured artist that will close us out. So I am encouraging you, those out there that would love to read, please do so. Just let us know in the chat. My friend George is helping me with that and letting me know who out there is interested in participating in the open mic. We are coming around the corner with the Poetry Den with, I believe, 9 years, maybe, George, is that right? Yeah, 9 years of doing this. So this has been a learning curve for, this virtual thing has been a learning curve for the whole world, actually. But I'm so glad that the Civil Rights Heritage Center, where this is where I'm located at right now, has been very faithful, very supportive in allowing this to continue. We are allowing some of our poets to be in this space when we're doing social distancing right now. And there's a limit, but you're always welcome to join us here. If you'd like, just shoot me an email and say you'd like to join us. The unfortunate thing is that you wear a mask. I think fortunate, unfortunate, whatever, however you perceive it. And at home, you don't have to, right? But you are more than welcome to join me in this space. But what I like to do in the beginning, for those out there that may not know anything about the space, is to always invite my friend George to just give us a little brief explanation of what happens in this space. I'm very honored to be in this space. We share some of the same heart and concerns. And so, yeah, George.
Well, thank you, Pam, and thank you everybody out there. It's good to see you virtually, and it's good to see everybody here in person physically. And I can't wait for the time when we can come back in here all together. And I know the time is hopefully just around the corner. And it's so important now more than ever to think about this space, right? To think about what this space means. I stand here in the former Engelman Public Natatorium, the city of South Bend's first indoor municipal swimming pool. And they deliberately used that word public to describe it. But it didn't allow the public, didn't allow the entire public. For its first 30 years, this space first completely excluded African Americans and then segregated against them by day. So that begs the question, how could the space have been public? What did it mean that only one portion of that public, the portion that I present as, deliberately denied the meaning of that word to include all people? It was an act of violence that impacted tens of thousands of people for almost 30 years. So what we do here today is reclaiming that word public. Is a deliberate and intentional action to not only gather both physically and virtually, but to do so in the spirit of every piece, every part, every aspect of humanity. and to recognize what it means when we do that gathering. We challenge the way things are today. We learn about the way things have been, and we come together in order to try to chart a new path forward. And part of that challenge and part of that thinking has to include celebration. It has to include art. It has to include music. It has to include poetry. It has to include all the things that make life so beautiful and so wonderful. And that's one of the reasons why it is our pleasure and privilege, really, to be able to do this. And it's what keeps me coming every month to be able to do this, Pam. And so I, as always, thank you for the privilege for letting us do that. Thanks, Pam.
All right, so one of the things I used to say all the time as my little rundown is welcome to the Poetry Den, where words once written on a page are now performed on stage, and solidarity extends between poets and friends. I encourage you all of you out there that are watching, if you want to put some encouraging words into the chat, make sure you do that. Again, if you'd like to participate in the open mic, let us know in the chat. At home, you're free to snap your fingers, clap. Just because we can't see you doing it doesn't mean that it's not happening. So we appreciate all of the encouragement that we give to those that are reading and to our feature alike. So I'm going to start us out with something, with a couple pieces, and then I'm going to probably ask my friend Tom, who's here, to join me next. This first piece, it's called A Season of Song. The seasons are changing. I'm a huge, like, as I said, I'm a huge fan of spring and summer. And so, yeah. Listen, it's 4 a.m. A train in the distance will whistle. Its wheels across the tracks you can actually hear. Soon birds will sing their song they've been saving their voice for all night long. Alarm clocks sing an annoying song of praise. I'm thankful for the home and pillow on which I lay. I pray for the song my boss might sing. You know, Pam, I think it's time you got that raise. Carnival songs fill neighborhood streets. Young kids beg for money as they run out to sea, hoping to get ice cream from that 1980s van. What can I get you? Opens the mouth of the one-tooth man. Sprinklers tick and spot up my newly waxed ride, and I do have a newly waxed ride. Lawnmowers moan an old familiar hymn. It renders the smell of fresh cut grass, not quite similar to smoking the prescription of what the doctor you asked. I lay eyes closed, waves crash up on the beach. Laughter and earth moves with running feet. I wiggle my toes in dusty Michigan sands. I imagine myself in a tropical place across a not too distant land. Independence parades itself in the streets. Barbecue sauce spread across a pan of meat. Sizzling sparklers between my fingers still bring about a scare. We lay in the grass and watch colorful explosions in the air. I long for summer songs. Even the raindrops have a special psalm. There God reveals his colorful maze. With every winter month, I anticipate summer's symphony of praise. That's A Season of Song. This next piece that I'm going to read, since Good Friday is like, is it next week? It's right around the corner. I'm losing track already. A little bit behind this poem called Good Friday. My mother, some years ago, probably about 10 years ago, actually, going to work was hit and was in a bad accident on Good Friday. And so this is where that poem came from. DWI, drinking with intelligence or drinking with integrity. No, driving without insurance, taking no consideration the severity. As you turn the key, you load the gun, a 4,000-pound bullet, poor coordination, disorientation, leading to a destination, someone's life left with devastation. Pain in a bottle, life's problems I imagine you swallow, a cab you forgo. It could damage your ego. Wow, a real hero, dead man driving, starring you at the movie show. While some at 6 a.m. are looking for caffeine, my mother looks into the eyes of the paramedic, begging for morphine. Jaws of life come down on her like a fork in a can of sardines. One chilly Good Friday, clothes ripped from her body. Unable to call her family, 2 surgeons agree exposed bones would need emergency surgery. Open bar, leaving a body marked with scars. Pain when it rains from the amount of metal within her knee, ankles, and wrists now remains. 10 weeks in a nursing home, her body held captive, her mind sharp and active, walking again, her only motive, prayers that kept her supported. And there you lie on the wall of shame. Restrictions and convictions precede your name. Your fate, a judge now proclaims. Yourself only to blame. Daddy God should be your lawyer's nickname. Anger I cannot hold to you. You see, Matthew 6:12-15 says, not forgiving you only affects me. In him would lie my own poor self-esteem, leaving me with a soul that's unhealthy. Consider your state of mind. You are not a genie, and your home is not found in a bottle of wine. Think before you drive next time, because drinking and driving is not a right, it's a crime. That's DWI, Good Friday. And I'm gonna share one more piece, I think, here. Maybe something uplifting, right? Wow. I had this written down, but we'll do claiming to love. Claiming to love, yet you fail to communicate. Claiming to love, unforgiveness, you regurgitate. Claiming to love with money you provide. Claiming to love as you push my feelings aside. Claiming to love these vows we swore. Claiming to love with I do and nothing more. Claiming to love, refusing responsibility. Claiming to love with no accountability. Claiming to love with every emotion. I sneeze. Claiming to love as I wipe it on my sleeve. Claiming to love with jealousy in my heart. Claiming to love as we drift further apart. Claiming to love, the grass is always greener on the other side. Claiming to love, it's our relationship that needs to be fertilized. Claim to love, sometimes a difficult task. Claim to love, new mercies each day we could ask. Claim to love, the need to be right will compromise. Claim to love, let our love synchronize. Claim to love, your friendship I won't neglect. Claim to love, looking back with no regrets. Claim to love, let it set you apart. Claim to love, like you eating a giant Pop-Tart. Claim to love, it will draw you to your knees. Claim to love and faith inclined to believe. Claim to love, hope inspired. Claim to love, wanted to spread like wildfire. Claim to love, inner beauty I pursue. Claim to love because I see the God in you. Claim to love, not looking for the shortcut. Claim to love like it's golf and not putt-putt. Claim a right to have, to require, to take as the rightful owner, to assert in the face of possible contradiction. Love, strong affection for one another, devotion or admiration, unselfish, loyal, and benevolent concern. Will you claim to love? All right. So I'm going to ask my friend Tom, who is here, to join me now. So y'all give it up at home. Clap, snaps, my guy here.
3 years ago, this past Friday, my son, Sean, passed away. He was our youngest son. And he was a good writer, a good poet, fairly good artist, kind of a half-assed musician, but you can't be good at everything. And he left a lot of poems behind. But one thing I want to remind everyone of is all of his later works are gone. And they're gone because he put them on the cloud. And when he passed away, so did his password. Google will not help us to retrieve them. I would imagine if we were a multi-million-dollar company, they would help. But in this case, they won't. I even went to Kim Commando on her radio show, and I was on there, and basically she said, "You're SOL, buddy." So that was it on that. But Donna and I, and Donna is my wife, we took the time to go through what he had left in handwritten poems, and we selected 30 and put them in this book, and one short story of his. And then I put 10 poems in the back as a tribute to him. And the book is called A Poetry Book of Wandering and Wonder. And I'm going to read a couple poems I wrote about him from one that he wrote in the book. First one is called My Son. On every book I lent him, coffee stains. I believe he drank while he read. He would spill coffee upon several pages, then try to wipe them clean. Sometimes he would leave his cup of hot coffee on the book's cover, which formed a permanent ring. Man, I miss him. This is called It Is a Fact, and this is true what I'm going to read here. In his Levi blue jeans, front pocket left side, deep down, a blue card to remind him to let go of his ego and be happy. On the card, a simple statement, but a profound one about the wrong things he constantly knew he could not get enough of because it would not satisfy his cravings. Though he tried many times at rehabilitation, it did not work for him. And in the end, the alcohol killed him. This one is called The Void Cannot Be Filled. Every day I look at pictures of my son, and mainly the ones presenting him in good health. It is a need I have to distract my mind from his sudden death. At first, the pictures triggered emotions of extreme sadness, and in my solitude, I would cry my pain and sorrow out, grieving. But now I'm able to peruse the pictures without crying, but the pain of his loss is not lessened. As there is an empty seat at the table, I miss his presence and our conversations, which are things grieving cannot provide. And then this particular poem is the first poem in the book, and it pretty much sums up what Sean was. On this 23rd birthday, On his 23rd birthday of mine, not technically yet, as I was born at 10:23 p.m. on November 10th, 1990, I've come to a few conclusions. First, every day is my and your birthday. At least has the potential to be. Granted, we each take the time to see and communicate the scene beatifically amongst one another without inhibition. Secondly, one must act their own spiritual age moment to moment. By this, I mean you must do as you must, meaning to throw temper tantrums, do stare in awe at a new flower emerging from a bud, do let your jaw drop when you are amazed, do spend hours attempting to find the words to express the beauty of something, and then spend the hours which follow coming to find the way and form to express the thought best. Do derail, rerail, begin relationships in beautiful and terrible situations, and do feel the synchronistic clarity of the engagement, the embarrassment of dejection, the awkwardness of having nothing to say, and then jump into that fucking mud puddle in April and maintain no concept of the fact you're wearing $200 shoes or that it's only 30 degrees outside. Forget the crazy assumption by the general public that it is crazy to whistle at a tree or with a rock or to a bird who whistles back to you, and to the sunrise which you too whistle to, as it casts shadows across the lawn or the street in the same manner as a 4 or 84-year-old body does. Be unafraid to vomit or yell or fall down while dancing or shit your pants or fuck loudly or cry or laugh in bed or dance during a funeral or be stupid or to give birth to the preposterous situation in this life so long as you remain unafraid to live through each debauchery and beauty in the most imaginative and expressive of ways, which is the way and always remain perpetually amazed by the generosity and beauty of the people who love you and who you love and who have loved you and may or may not still love you, and the generosity and beauties of earth which you inhabit with those surrounding you. I hope you have a beautiful birthday, each and every one of you, and thank you. Thank you for the love. This is all a mirror, and I hope you see yourself smiling, eyes wide open within it, while knowing you are loved.
All right. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna tag on to some of that. Sean was very special to us here at the Poetry Den from the very start. Our friend Andrew, I think, was the one that kind of introduced him to the Poetry Den, and when he joined us, we had no idea what he was talking about half the time. Do his poems, but he always had the biggest and greatest smile, and he kept coming back even after I told him, dude, your poems are too long. It's 5 minutes. Cut it short. But he would laugh and he'd be like, oh, okay, and he kept showing up, and he was always encouraging to me. A great guy. We had the opportunity to do a huge tribute for him here a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yep. This was, I'm going to share this poem before I ask my friend Day to come, Dr. Bryant to come. But this piece I wrote in lieu of him. It's called Free Spirit. Social yet a loner, a hearty laugh and a sense of humor, full of life, with a soul that's famished, searches for destiny in a world of authentic. There are springtime and a thunderstorm, a sky that displays double rainbows, a bird trapped in a cage of an open door, a free spirit sitting on the edge of a white picket fence with expectation that prohibits the American dream from being accurate. A beautiful mind resides in the heart of the conflicted, and superheroes become poets with magical lyrics. Imagine sign language in a heavy metal bar and fireflies examined through clear mason jars, mimicking dark skies filled with a symphony of stars. A free spirit with creativity that's limitless, while the hourglass squeezes sand through tiny spaces and life counted in years feel more like minutes. That's that piece. 2018. I miss my friend, I tell you what, it's a good guy. All right, so Miss Bryant, Dr. Day Bryant, you were in the home, you show some snaps. Again, for those that want to participate in the open mic, we encourage you to say you'd like to do so in the chat and not the cat. But yeah, we'd love to have you. So make sure you say, hey, I want to read something. And now over to my friend Danny.
A little adjusting here. Okay. It's good to be back. It's good to be back at the Poetry Den.
Good to have you back.
And at least to have a little opportunity to share poetry with some of my favorite people. Over the last several weeks, I've been working with the local school system here. And it's on a program called Layers of Literacy. And the administration had decided that spoken word would be a way to get to the minds of K through 12 students so they could find more power in their words. During one of these sessions, a young man, fourth grade, I think it was, shot up his hand and he asked me, "Are you famous?" "My friends think so," I said.
Yeah.
He said, "So you do spoken word?" "I do," I said. "Go ahead," he said, "write a poem. Tell us how you like your coffee." Okay, that's not really how I roll, but okay, here goes. Ethiopian dark roast, notes of orange. Arabica Lobos, hint of blueberries. Robusta, peanutty, and perhaps oatmeal-y. Mornings begin with a hot favorite brew, a dash of creamer and amaretto too. I sit and I savor and I think of my day, wondering what new adventures are a keystroke away. In this era of COVID, my computer and me, we travel the world, Zooming and meeting and teaming and facing old friends and new and colleagues and haters, solving, collaborating, negotiating and teaching, de-escalating, diffusing, repairing and greeting. But that is for later when my mug is empty. This moment is for Robusta and me. My students seem happy to go on with their task, to start on their journals and write their own stories, leaving me to think and fill in the gaps. Ethiopian dark roast, notes of orange. Arabica Valiolobos, hints of blueberry. Robusta, peanutty, and maybe oatmeal-y. COVID-19 brought the toilet paper wars, but who worried if copy might stop coming? What would happen if growers and pickers couldn't? Not just sick and tired, but sick and tired and dying. Mornings begin with a hot favorite brew, a dash of creamer and amaretto too. I sit and I savor and I think of my day, wondering what new adventures are a keystroke away. 1 year since the shutdown, when everything changed. Morning, noon, midnight, everything the same, bleeding together and showing the strain of endless, repeated unknowables. Fear stacked on loss supported by pain. making life the adventure and its keystrokes relentless, boulders, obstacles, falling, crushing. In this era of COVID, my computer and me, we travel the world, Zooming and meeting and teaming and facing old friends and new ones and colleagues and haters, solving, collaborating, negotiating and teaching, de-escalating, defusing, repairing and greeting and wondering and hoping for one shot or two or any shots, because the website is a maze and 311 is a 2-hour soundtrack and no one is dancing. But that is for later when my mug is empty. This moment is for Robusta and me.
That was great. All right, thank you for that piece. I think that's inspired. You doing that has inspired some more poetry, right? Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I'm ready for some coffee too. I'm sure some of you at home are probably having coffee. So again, want to invite you to those out there that would like to be a part of this open mic to share some pieces with us. So that you don't have to listen to me read a bunch of my poems, but for now, that's what you have. This piece is called Self-Motivate, and this was a piece that was actually qualified to be published in some books that St. Mary's actually puts out. So, and also it might be in one of ours, word anthology. Yeah. So it's called Self-Motivate. People ask if I'm a professor. I say no, but I profess to be a little less stressed by what people think makes my life meaningful or meaningless. If my words don't motivate, then let them lay prostrate across what lacks substance and what we know is the truth, what has importance and a little burden of proof. See, I was taught that putting your gifts where they don't shine is like casting pearl to swine. It's like filling a Dixie cup with fine wine. Its true worth, they don't recognize. When your success is a path and not a destination, it has no depreciation, but leaves room for an open mind and continued imagination. Did you know your very existence and purpose is your service to others? Then will you discover your life and talents have much to offer. There's a resurrection of love we must reintroduce. Disappointment and rejection lies at the root. Loving yourself and all your imperfections with no excuses. Have visions and live dreams, not getting the results, then change your routine. Decide whether you want to grow or be liked, but don't spend time caught between. Let your character speak of gratitude and your smile change your attitude. Let your words breathe life and your face sustain you. Self-motivate. This next piece I'm going to share is, I think I actually wrote this after visiting my BFF in California, who is actually our featured artist tonight. It was, I believe, it was a time where I got away and I called it separation. And I learned that just lying in bed looking at the ceiling felt extremely good. To the point that, what'd you say? Yeah, so yeah, it was, we had planned lots of things, but I was struggling even to get out of bed to have coffee. So, but this piece again is called Separation. Flight 1066, on a mission to see my best friend. I didn't realize the separation of my busy life was about to begin. Traveling back in time on the other side of the country lies an ocean waiting to greet me. My shoes prepared to fill with sand, oceanside on the rocks, salt around the rim. My chair, a journal, and a pen. I traded flatland for higher ground, drier heat from rainy streets, conservative for carefree, evergreen for palm trees. My phone not assigned to wake me, work to await me, housework to plague me, just hours in the bed staring at the ceiling. I was constantly asked, well, what do you want to do today? My mind said, hide away and rest. I began to portray my role as a good house guest. With little of my belongings to clutter my thoughts, my mind took a long walk. And in my heart, I found the devastation of little relaxation. There in my thoughts, I heard the word separation. The truth behind vacay is the world will be okay without me for a few days. You need no explanation for restoration. Separation is the celebration of life. It's that piece. Man, that was so wicked. I felt so bad. But they were very gracious towards me, so I appreciate that. I'm going to read another piece, and I'm going to ask my friend Tom to come back and join me. This is a really short piece. It's called The Tree of Life. In the garden, she was first declared. Her leaves provided breath to my air. In the spring, she wears a nest of robins in her hair. With scorching heat and cold she bears. God sends rain to purge despair, as her limbs are never too long or short for prayer. Her roots are wrapped tightly around things we cannot see. Faith that provides sustainability. That's Tree of Life. All right. Come on back up. You guys give some snaps, claps at home for my friend Tom.
Well, with this COVID that we had and the time that transpired, I had a book that I had written and had self-published. It's called Isomorphic Art of a Child and Other Selected Poems. And it's 54 poems. And I felt bad about the COVID deal coming because it kind of just put the brakes on the whole thing. But out of all the books that I have 7 books left. That's it. So I was really shocked at how many my family purchased, and because I thought it would just be, my siblings, but it also was their children. So I was amazed, and I came from an awful large family, so I was quite surprised by that, and then friends and so forth. So I've been lucky. But anyway, I'm going to read the signature poem of this, which is The Isomorphic Art of a Child. And if you don't know what isomorphic means, it just means something that's similar to something else, like a square to a rectangle, or different size marbles, or a marble to a steely. So, and that's what it means. Isomorphic art of a child. The child has drawn, makes a face, makes it round, makes a roundness of the thing human. Then again, another circle. In a circulatory vastness reads a cat, a dog, a tie or red round. In simplicity, the circle is universal in the child's works of art. Then I thought, have an opportunity to come back to the poetry den after so long. I thought it would be nice if I read some new ones that I wrote over the time we were in the prison at home. This one's called The Book. I'm on bus number 66, heading for the bus stop number 9, when I noticed him, a large man, reading in the seat in front of me, a book with its cover wrapped in a brown paper bag. Now that made me curious. So I scooted up in my seat and I looked over his shoulder to see what he is reading so intensely. On page 64, it says, "She moans and feels herself go wet, and her lover feels himself getting hard. Damn," he dog ears the page and closes the book. He pulls the bus stop string, indicating to the bus driver that he wants the next bus stop, number 7. He stands up as the bus comes to a stop. Slowly, he turns in the aisle, looks back at us. While he covers his crotch with the book, I notice he is wearing a white collar around the front of his neck. Perhaps he is doing research, gathering carnal knowledge to better understand the sinner. Or maybe he does book reviews for the church, because some books end up on the do not read list. After all, someone has to do it. This one is one of those poems where, in my lifetime, I met some people, and this particular girl was really indifferent. I think she was indifferent to everything. It didn't matter, life itself, She was just that kind of gal. So anyway, this is called, "Yeah, I Kind of Like Her." She was one of those kind of girls, an independent soul, the kind of guy likes or dislikes depending on his mood. For she could be demanding, always wanting her way, and of course, the one to have the last say in a heated conversation. She was the kind of girl where she would walk away without saying a word, and then show up months later as if nothing had happened, to me or to her. I knew better than to cry. Why be foolish? Instead, enjoy the good times while they lasted. This is one of those where, I'm sure most of us in life, we go to different places and you see things that are happening. You just observe things, other people and how they're interacting. And this one here is an observation at Mickey D's. Wiping hot egg yolk from his face after biting into a breakfast sandwich, the man said, "Fuck." Near him, 2 mothers with children gasped at his emotional outburst. One child stands upon his seat and starts repeating, "Fuck, fuck, fuck." Then the other mother's children start to giggle uncontrollably as they watch the boy at the other table being scolded by his mother, who finally covers his mouth with her right hand. As the man finishes his breakfast sandwich, he grabs his coffee and heads for the door. As the little boy looks up to him and says, "You son of a bitch," which just goes to prove that most cuss words are learned at home. And I really think that's true. I'm sure most of us have known somebody that's kind of been a daredevil, and they're, doing crazy things, particularly when they were young. And I think most of us at my age, or maybe a little younger and older, know Evel Knievel. So this is kind of something like that. It's called the Legendary Yoshi. The crowd chanted, "Yoki, Yoki," Grandma said. "You'd be a fool to run into that brick wall." I thought, why did she say that to me? Of course it would be foolish. And yet a kid named Yoki did a lot of things that were dumb, like jumping off his home's roof, running in front of oncoming traffic, walking the railroad track bridge across the swamp, always traveling. Yoki lived a hard life, being shot from a cannon in almost every state of the Union. By age 62, he'd broken almost every bone in his body. But he was a millionaire. in a wheelchair, which he had motorized for racing. Last one I got here is called The Summer Fling. I grew up in Michigan City. We lived about 3 miles away from the beach, and we had to walk right down Main Street to get there. And in the mid 60s, it was kind of a crazy time. A lot of things happening. It was a lot of fun. And it was called The Summer Fling. 2 young lovers doing their thing, each getting their summer share. For he knew, she knew, they were using each other, but neither one cared. It was simply summer love, a long string of one-night stands, and he knew that she knew at summer's end she would leave, and he would never, ever see her again. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, if anyone wants to buy either one of the books, you can get a hold of Pam, she'll get a hold of me, and we'll work it out. Okay, they're $12 a piece.
Yes, thank you again, Tom. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you, always appreciate you. We always like, for those that are publishing and would like to share their good works with us. We will definitely want to promote that here at the Poetry Den. Also, if you have events that are similar to this, and if you reach out to me, we can put it on our page and share that with all of our Facebook friends alike. Again, if there's anyone out there that would still wants to read, we welcome you to that. Otherwise, I'll read a couple pieces and we will not hesitate to bring our awaited featured artist up. So this piece that I'm going to share with you is called Make a Wish. This poem was written some time ago, and it was as I was on social media with dating websites. Make a wish, they all shout. And without a doubt, my mind thinks about you and me. Together we would be like blind like Stevie, I wonder, hearing not seeing sweet music of none other than you. Dancing with fingers constantly weaving, only with love, inhaling and breathing. I open my eyes and you're here, running like deer, our eyes trapped in headlights. We remember the song September, like earth, wind, and fire filled with desire, and all I require is one more hour with you. Because our love couldn't wait, and we took the bait, knowing we were hooked into lines of lies with never hellos and always goodbyes. Trapped between heaven and hell, I yell, hoping to scream myself out of this nightmare. And again, I close my eyes, blowing to make a wish, only to open it to plentyoffish.com. A free dating market, smelling more like carcass than of the blown out candles of a wishful kiss. Make a wish that night I lie in bed and reminisce. It's your laughter and smile I miss. It's the sea of emotions I can't dismiss. It's my mind that can't wrap itself around all of this. And every day around the world, without hit or miss, someone will close their eyes and make the same wish. That's that piece. I'll share one more with you. This piece is called Beauty. If you were blind, what would the mind have to say about beauty? Beauty has always been a variable, a battle of the surface and the inner soul. Beauty is an interpretation of images and characteristics socialized by what we've come to know. Beauty and what some come to agree, an old passage of you can't see the forest for the trees. Beauty becomes the color of sound and its sensitivity is toxic. Behavior and real truths you'll now come to deposit. Beauty has left our eyes with no clear vision, but a fictional bibliography, not to mention a history of hypocrisy. If you were blind, what would the mind have to say about beauty? Well, beauty pageants would be no longer. Not one more book would be judged by its cover. Cover girl would be the hiccup in our breakup, because I no longer choose to make up who I found myself to be. Unashamed with no restraints, your presence redefined by your character unmistakably. One day we'll grow up with no real need to play dress up to physical beauty. Will what's left to behold be favorable to sincerity, dignity, and faithfulness to integrity? If you were blind, what would your mind have to say about beauty? That's that piece. Well, oh, Dan, you're out there. Awesome. Hey, Dan, you ready? This is my friend Dan. We're at home, TV land, computer land. Give it
Computer
up for
land.
Mr. Dan. Yeah.
Hi.
Hey.
So I haven't read these out loud yet. I just finished them today. At Panoply, we are celebrating Poetry Month by combining 13 artists with 13 poets. And on April 1st, we'll publish those at panoplymichiana.com. They've turned out fantastically. Is that Thomas Christensen with you?
It is.
Thomas has a piece too in our collection. So I'm really excited to publish these pieces for Poetry Month. There's two that I have here. One that I wrote that goes along with a photo by Steve Tepp, and it is not titled. At 42 degrees, you see a rainbow. At 52 degrees, refraction appears double. Every person sees their own array. Focus on the rain in front or the hopeful sun beyond. A key strikes, vibrations fill the air. Gathered by drum, hammer, Coachella. Will we hear a new song? Gather our diverse 42 degrees as a chorus of aspiring color. Who could be deaf to the click, bang, bang? The banging gavel of institutional racism. Hum along to the old songs or sing to a new covenant. The second one, thank you. The second one was inspired by my cousin Kim Casper Horn, and she posted a picture. She's a beekeeper, and she posted a picture of a bee sitting on a log, and in front of her hive she has 3 logs, and she invited people to come and sit with her. And she said, I believe God knew I needed someone to sit with me. And it was a picture of this bee sitting next to her, and she's very friendly with her bees. She often posts about how they inspire her and the beauty of her beekeeping. And the poem is, I believe God knew I needed someone to sit with me. I wrestled with some things, and some things felt like they were winning. As he humbled to 3 spikes, I humble before the small gifts. I know through small things, great change is achieved. Transfiguration of fear to hope. Radiant and simple form, moments passed in quiet prayer. Thank you.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you to those that participated in the open mic, to my friend Tom, to Dr. Bryant, and to Dan. Thank you so much for participating in the open mic. Again, every month we do this here virtually, so we encourage you to invite friends, enemies, family members, those that love poetry. We'd love to hear from you and to hear your words in this segment of the Poetry Jam. But now, the most awesome part of this is to welcome not only our featured artist, but a very good friend, my BFF. She's all the way in California, which is my little thing of like, I'm going back to Cali, yes. And she has displayed some artwork that, she's put some of my artwork in the background that resides in her place. It's so awesome. I wasn't expecting her to do that, but it's cute. And I'm sure that it brings a sense of home. She's a native of this area, so I'm gonna read a bio that she gave to me. Sue Barnard is married and has 3 grown children. I mean, they're grown too. She was born and raised in South Bend, Indiana, and moved to San Diego in 2012. And we miss her desperately. Her life has taken many paths, which include co-owner and chief baker at the Peaberry Cafe, for those of you who remember, and bakery in South Bend. Years later, Sue and her husband Bill established and ran the Perfect Pour Cafe, which was an extension of a local church and it was intended as a meet and greet venue where people gathered for fellowship and to break bread together. Creativity was encouraged and original artwork hung on the walls. Handmade art pieces were displayed, open mics and live performances took place. Sue loves the arts and is a writer, poet, and spoken word artist. Those of you at home, please give it up for Sue. Their snaps, claps. Turn the volume up.
Because I talk loud. Oh, thank you. I got to turn my little timer on because I talk loud and I talk long, but Pam's giving me a time thing, so I want to be very careful. Thank you, Pam, for inviting me. Pam is my hero in so many ways. Art, poetry, spoken word, just a couple at the top of the list. If it weren't for Pam, I probably would not be doing it as much as I have in my lifetime. So she encourages me always. We bounce things back and forth and tell each other what we like about our work and what we don't. And it's great to have her. So I'm going to try and navigate this because I got this camera set up. I'm used to standing up and walking around. So I'm going to try and stay seated and do what I can. I'm somebody who I love God, I love people, and I love nature. And so somehow all of those things kind of make it into my work. So I've tried to do a few things that are different subjects that I have. So I hope you get into it. This one is my newest piece and it's called True Colors. I watched the hummingbird flying about, then landing on my feeder to drink from the spout. At first glance, the head feathers appear to be black, but a turn of his head takes my first sight back. Feathers bright red now with shiny glow, when black they were just a moment ago. The red was invisible to me when I looked at first, but a tilt of his head made the color just burst. The color was always there, but not revealed until the light reflected and the bright red was unveiled. What other things are not visible, I have to ask, because my timing or perspective are not on task. What we first see is not all there is, yet we judge at first sight and don't know what we miss. One moment I may be stumbling with blunders, but look again, and I am now filled with wonder. Don't miss the brilliance for lack of walking in the light. Don't miss the deep because you have only near sight. Look past the first appearance and hang out for the rest. You may catch the light of someone at their very, very best. Life may be full of plain and dull, but only because we have a thick skull that only tries once to understand, never sticking around to comprehend. Keen vision takes time to hone and grow. When we take that time, our senses will flow. New sights will be seen, new ideas, new power, impossible things will be seen every hour. As a world that was hidden shows real color, we find joy in the differences we see in one another. Let light reflect the true color of our beauty. True colors.
Yeah.
I try not to talk a whole lot about each piece because you kind of want it to talk, for itself. But this one is real close to my heart. It's about my husband, of all things, which why would I write about him? Because he's the best man in the world. But it just some things that I've had, tough times sometimes with relationships in my life. And my husband, Bill, came along, and he's different than any other man, but he's one that everybody should aspire to. So this is called More Than Enough. Your love for me is more than enough, more than I have ever had before, more than I had ever dreamed of, more than enough. Your love has covered the multitude of sins that overwhelmed my life, sins not always of my doing, but done unto me. Your love has washed away the sorrow that had become my companion. My newly washed soul now sings a song of joy. The patience of your love brings safety to a heart that was constantly on guard. The persistence of your love has brought confidence that I am worth fighting for. The wholeness in your love has let me breathe again, deep, pure, and cleansing. The depth of your love has led me to joy and peace unspeakable. The depth of your love and the honesty of your love tells the truth in a way that I can trust, because there is no harm in it. The power of your love unlocked treasures in me held captive for so long. The pureness of your love lets me be who I am without fear of losing that love. The largeness of your love is not afraid of my heart and all that comes with it. The example of your love encourages me to try harder. The beauty of your love often brings me to tears and heals the wounds of my soul. The completeness of your love has put the puzzle of me together, bringing order to chaos. The wonder of your love reveals the truth of a real man and dispels all the excuses lesser men spew. The reality of your love is there each and every day, freeing me to love with abandon. The joining together of our love has created a force not easily torn apart, because it is threefold, with God fully entwined in the cord of us. We together are more than enough. More than enough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Bill.
Thank you. So I'm going on a theme here about love and life and joy. I'll get past that in a little bit, but I thought I should start on an up note. This is just called life. And I think right now, especially with COVID and all the things we're going through, it just means even more to me. So life. I am loading up on life, drinking it in, smelling the roses, embracing love, life. It surrounds me, astounds me, confounds me, and hounds me. Surrounds me with its presence, wonder, and depth. Astounds me with love, joy, pain, and the knowledge of how quickly it passes. Confounds me with the unknown of it all and the constant change. Hounds me with the persistent thought that it could always be better, and yet it could be over at any moment. Life, it really is what you make of it. I want the largeness of it. I want the simplicity of it. If you are satisfied with the mundane of work, TV, eating, then that will be your portion. I am loading up not only on my life, but the lives of my loved ones, friends, many friends of many years, and friends yet to be. I am giving life, the kind of life described in Luke. Give, and it will be given to you, a good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. I want the good measure, pressed down, shaken, running over. I want life to be running over in my lap, running over with the joy, but also the messiness. Life is messy. Life is hard, but life is worth it. Life is what you make of it. Life.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is going into it's called The Long Road, and it's a culmination. It's a lot of things. I think you'll identify with it in a lot of different ways. I think I wrote it because of some struggles I was going through, probably with human beings. But I think it's relative to today and what is happening today. The Long Road. The storm that came through is one that rips hearts. It breaks your dreams and upsets your carts. I feel whipped and winded, dazed and confused. It came like a tornado and ripped me in two. It's a long road back to the calm after the storm, and walk through the debris that can cause great harm. Feelings, heartaches, pain strewn about. Seeing it all before me makes me want to shout, shout to the heavens, cry aloud, scream at the destruction that is all around. People have been wounded and lives rearranged, foundations have crumbled, and everything is changed. The pain of it all seems too much to bear. The reality of it seems way too unfair. I look for my center, the peace and the quiet, but all that remains is a riot. My world has been demolished by a raging fire, and there is no trace of this peace I desire. Where did it all go, and can I get it back? Why couldn't I defend against this destructive attack? And like most storms, there was no way to control it. It came and it went in what seemed just a moment. But the power it carried was considerable. The damage it left behind is miserable. It's a long road back to the calm after the storm, searching for the way that will lead me home. Long road.
Yes.
Thank you. This one, oh, my timer is, oh, I gotta do my, there we go, okay. I gotta make sure I got my timer on.
You're good. You're good.
Pam can do a little this
Oh,
one.
you're good.
This one is an older one, and I was trying to think of exactly what it was that inspired me. It's called I Am Who I Am, and a lot of it, it's a lot of different things that influenced me. Part of it is change. You know, you have struggles in your life and things that happen, and you hopefully kind of get through them. And not everybody wants to. Not everybody, once you get your healing or your peace, you know, wants to go along with that. And so that's part of what is happening here. It's kind of it's an affirmation of who I am, but also I'm not going back. I'm not going to get sucked in. So it's called I Am Who I Am. I am who I am, no matter what you say. I am who I am. You cannot take me away. I am who God made me, created and formed, thought out, given purpose before I was born. I am who I am. Your hate cannot take me. I am who I am. Your threats cannot shake me. I am unique, fearfully and wonderfully made, the picture of myself. Your ignorance cannot fade. Can you see me? I am beautiful, standing strong and proud. Can you hear me? That's my voice, ringing clear and loud. I am breaking out of the prison you have spoken to my mind. All the old has passed away, and shame I leave behind. Your threats no longer stop me. Your anger has no power. The future I see is bright. It is my finest hour. The acid of your jealousy no longer brings me guilt. Wholeness, love, and purpose are my hard-fought wealth. The life of a victim ended long ago. I learned that in sorrow, very little can grow. I move past the past and embrace the new. Walk towards the bright, leave behind the blues. So catch me if you can. I'll hold out my hand. I'll pull you up on this ride to overcomers land. But don't be offended if I close my ears when you try to scare me with all your fears. Being stopped by fear is the devil's brew, and that is a drink I no longer do. Onward and upward and forward and beyond. There are no limits if I trust in my God. I want you to come with me if you can drink from this cup, but I will not step down because you won't step up.
Mm.
I
Ooh,
am who I am.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. This next one is for, I wrote this, I think it was around an election long ago, long ago. It kind of proved to me that the more things change, the more they stay the same. And it's always still, it's called perspective, and it's always still, can't we do better than this? Can't we get along? So it's called perspective. A perspective is a view or a vista that one sees, but we can't seem to see the forest for the trees. You see things your way, I see them mine. It's been this way from the beginning of time. You see things one way, I see them another. But in our differences, must we smother each other? My perspective says go slow. Yours says we must go fast. I guess I don't care if we get there last. I say we must confront. You say give it more time. You are bent to be a little more kind. Some say that divorce means you can't go to heaven. Now, is this the truth or just the devil's leaven? Even quoting the Bible can make things clear as mud, as different denominations create their own buzz. I've heard it's better to be righteous than right. This may mean walking away from a fight, and I don't mind fighting if the purpose is true. I just don't think my fight is always with you. I like the man in the mirror, as the song goes. He's usually the one that deserves the most blows. I fight my flesh that always wants to be heard so I can shut my mouth and listen to your words. We must go to our heart and its intent to make choices, because the world is full of confusing voices. To trust that my right and left will be guided by a view that is not always right or left-sided. That the colors I choose will be for beauty, not out of a sense of some self-serving duty. So, you go your way, I'll go mine. I pray we end up at the same place at about the same time. And on the road to getting there, let's cherish those met, living our lives without judgment or regret.
Right.
Perspective.
Yeah.
Perspective. We all have one, don't we? And this piece, I want to end with this. It's a little bit long, and it's one of my oldest ones, but it's one of my favorite ones. And this is kind of in honor of Pam because it's called Spring. Every time I read it, it just still means just as much to me as it did when I was there. And it definitely was written when I was in Indiana. The spring here in California is a little bit different, but there are still the seasons, and that is what is really important to me in this. So this is called Spring. Spring is coming. It's a promise, a given, consistent and known. Yet every year it amazes me. I have witnessed the change of seasons for over 60 years. Winter, spring, summer, and fall. All the seasons bring something unique and different than the other. But spring, it's a rebirth of sorts. And because it follows the harshness of winter, it provides the most hope in nature and in my life. Spring brings with it great promise of things to come, growth, flowers, color, fragrance, life. Just as sure as winter brings death and dormancy, spring brings life and activity. Snow can be beautiful, and the cold weather can bring about hot chocolate, warm fires, and lots of snuggling. But for me, the moment Christmas is over, I am through with winter and look forward to spring. I begin counting the months, then the weeks until its expected start. After each wintertime gas bill, I calculate how soon it will be that I can turn my heat down. If I can just keep my mind on the first crocus or sprouting leaves on trees or the extra money I'll save on gas bills, it gives me hope. And I can then trudge through the cold, snow and ice once again to clean off my car. Spring, I look for it, hope for it, pray for it, and tell myself over and over again, it's coming. And I still get as excited as a 3-year-old when the first signs appear. When my kids were little, it was always a big deal the day we saw our first robin. I can still hear their excited voices say, "Mommy, I see a robin." And I'd smile and make a fuss, just like my mom did when I was young. Uh-oh. Whoa,
Bring in the
sorry.
paper.
I know. Oh, just like I did when my mommy did when I was little. It was always a day to take note of. And it meant that things were different now, that the robin held some magical power to change the weather. With that same sense of wonder from my youth, each year on the day I see my first bird, I will exclaim, "I saw a robin today," to a friend, to my husband, or the checkout lady at Martin's. Sometimes it's met with equal exuberance, but more often it's, that's nice. They're not as excited as me. It's like it happens every year. What's the big deal? So when my mom was still alive, I'd call her up and I'd tell her, "Mommy, I saw my first robin." And with the same delight as when I was little, she'd say, "Did you? That's great. That means spring is coming." Thank God that into her 80s, she still thought it was a big deal. Spring isn't a date, and it comes when it sees fit. It decides whether it will agree with the human calendar. Spring is a change, and change brings possibilities to me. Maybe this spring will bring more physical activity, which could bring about the desire to exercise, which may bring about the love for walking, which would bring about weight loss, which would bring about, you get the picture. It seems nothing is impossible in the spring. Spring brings about gratefulness. When I step outside and feel the warmth of the morning instead of bitter cold, I am grateful. Even when the sun isn't shining and it's raining out, I am grateful that it's not snow. The saying from childhood pops into my head, April showers brings May flowers, and I am grateful for the assurance that something good will come from the gloominess of rain. Spring opens my eyes and ears. It makes me notice everyday things that we take for granted, but are really amazing. As soon as I can, I sit outside on my patio, morning coffee in hand, and I feast on the small sanctuary in my yard. Birds gathering materials for nests, squirrels foraging, breezes blowing, and the tinkling of wind chimes making music. Over the years, I've gotten to know several songs of the birds, and as I hear the cardinal chirping and the mourning dove cooing and the blue jay cackling, I love to spot them in the trees when I hear them call. Sparrows bobbing up and down all over the yard as the males dance to win a mate. It amuses me to watch the females seem to pay them no mind, flitting off to another who's trying to woo her. Each year is a love-hate relationship with the squirrels. I love to watch them run and play through the yard, chattering, racing each other up the trees, and looking like circus performers as they navigate the electrical wires. How do they do that? I wonder each time I witness this feat. But then they turn on me, and they dig up my newly planted petunias, shimmy up my bird feeder, and pillage food meant for creatures smaller and weaker than them. Sometimes when I sit out there alone, meditating on all the activity, I think, does anybody else notice this? Spring is a gamble of sorts. Will those bulbs I planted come up this year? And every year I look at the brown, dry, dead remains from the plants that are perennials, and I think there is no way they have survived the winter. They are supposed to return every year, but I still look with awe and delight as the first green growth appears under the brown leaves on my lavender, or the red sprouts come out on my brown rose bushes. Even the daylilies, which seem as if nothing could kill them, still amaze me as they sprout up out of the ground with the purpose of bringing flowers that will last only one day before they close. Easter comes in spring. We celebrate resurrection, faith, hope, and belief in power greater than us. That is spring. Out of death and the hardness of a frozen ground, there is proof that what we see with our eyes is not all that there is. That even in bitterness and unpleasant conditions, there is something else at work. Beauty has not been discarded. There are roots always alive and preparing for just the right time to sprout new growth. The assurance that even when it seems we are in the most unproductive season, there are things at work inside, underneath, waiting to be born, to come to life. Spring awakens sleeping beauty and calls back things gone away. Spring says to them, it's okay, come out, come back. You are wanted. You can grow here. You are not forgotten. Spring reminds me that all that is true in nature about changing seasons is true of me. Promises and dreams just waiting for the right time, the right season to push through the hard ground of the limitations in my mind to bloom and to bear fruit. That just like in Indiana, you don't grow corn in January. So with my life, I must wait for the favorable season to bear certain fruit. These lessons in nature have given me hope. Spring has awakened me and helped me to see that my season has changed. Winter is over. Spring.
Nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's all I got. That's it. That's me.
Thank
go-
you.
Did I
Thank
go
you.
over
Thank
my
you.
time?
Thank you. No, you're good. You're good. Thank you. I appreciate that. so appreciative of you sharing your gifts. Thank you for the new writings. Thank you for reminding us of the old ones. Thank you for the reminder of what spring brings to us every year. Thank you for your love and support. You were one of the main people behind how we got started with the Poetry Den, and so I appreciate you being our featured artist and for sharing your love and admiration for the written word. Thank you all out there for being with us this evening. Again, for our open mic guests, for Tom, any of you that are interested in purchasing some of these books and the other book that he has written, please, you can either let us know at the Civil Rights Heritage Facebook page or the Poetry Den Facebook page, or you can email me at Blair, BLAIR, at yahoo.com, and we can pass on the information. We do this every month for you, not for me, well, for me. For me too. But actually, so that I can see you, so that I can hear from you, so I can be inspired by you, so we can be inspired by one another. Iron sharpens iron, right?
Amen. Yes, it does.
But yeah, so please, I encourage you, write some stuff, share with us, or tell people that you know that enjoy poetry or like writing poetry, that we're here and we do, this is a place for us to come together. And that's the reason why we do what we do. So again, thank you for another month of being with us. I look forward to seeing you again, hopefully from hearing from more people. And for our featured artists, lots of love, lots of snaps, lots of claps. And thank you, the Civil Rights Heritage Center, again, for your love, your support, for allowing us to be in the space. George, for always graciously being here to conduct everything for us and make me look good. All right, so again, be safe, everybody. Yeah, look after yourself, look after your loved ones, and we'll meet you right back here again next month. All right, we'll see you.
Yay.